In a small village, there lived a boy who had nothing. His family had no food for tomorrow, no money for medicine, no hope for next week. One ordinary morning, everything changed when his foot hit something on the dusty road. His name was Arjun, and he was 13 years old. The grey light of dawn had just begun to touch the sky as his bare feet pressed into the dust, leaving small prints that would disappear by noon. His stomach ached with a familiar emptiness. He'd given his portion of rice to his younger sister the night before. His clothes were patched at the elbows, the fabric worn so thin you could almost see through it. Walking to the market where he might find work, Arjun passed his neighbor's house and heard children laughing over breakfast. The sound made his chest tighten. His own two sisters were still sleeping, hungry. His mother lay on a thin mat at home, too weak to move, waiting for medicine they couldn't afford. His older sister had stayed up half the night worrying about rent. On that grey morning, with dust coating his feet and his stomach hollow, Arjun walked the same path he'd walked 1,000 times before. He had no idea that everything was about to change. Arjun's father had been gone for 5 years. Not dead, not exactly, but gone in the way that matters. He left to find work in the city and never returned, leaving behind a wife too old to work and 3 children who barely remembered his face. His mother had fallen sick shortly after, some illness the village doctor couldn't name. The medicine she needed cost 50 rupees. 50 rupees felt like 500 to them. Arjun had 2 younger sisters, both school-age, both desperate to learn. But school required supplies they didn't have, uniforms they couldn't afford. And Arjun had made a quiet choice. His sisters would eat before they would learn, at least for now. The landlord came every month, his hand extended, his patience thin. Eviction was coming in 3 weeks if they couldn't find the rent. Arjun knew this because he'd heard his older sister crying about it at night, thinking everyone was asleep. But Arjun was awake. He was always awake, calculating, planning, surviving. He was the kind of boy who did what was right even when no one was watching. Merchants knew him as honest. A teacher once told him his character was his greatest strength. But today, everything he believed about himself was about to be tested in ways he couldn't imagine. Every morning, the same routine. Wake, check mother, kiss foreheads, walk, work. Arjun's eyes opened at 4:30. Before the light even thought about touching the sky, the house was silent except for the sound of his mother's shallow breathing. He moved quietly to her side, placed a cup of water near her hand, whispered something gentle. Then to his sisters, a kiss on each forehead, a silent promise that today would be better than yesterday. If there was rice left from yesterday's meal, he took a small portion, just enough to quiet his stomach. More often, there was nothing. He'd learned not to expect. The walk to the market took 15 minutes through the same dusty streets, past the same sleeping houses under the same grey sky. By 5:45, Arjun arrived at the market before anyone else. The merchants knew him, the honest boy, the one who could be trusted with money for errands with small tasks, with the kind of responsibility adults usually reserved for older men. They gave him work because he kept his word. This path was his path. He'd walked it 1,000 times. He knew every stone, every tree, every corner where the dust gathered, which is why, at 5:47, exactly 2 minutes before he would normally reach the market, his foot struck something hard that didn't belong. His foot struck something hard beneath the dust. He stopped. Under the banyan tree, half buried in the red earth, lay a brown leather wallet, worn but expensive, the kind of thing that didn't belong on this path. Arjun's heart began to race before he even picked it up. He could feel it in his hands, heavy with possibility. He opened it slowly. His breath caught. 2,000 rupees. 2,000. More money than he'd ever held. More money than his family had seen in months. His mind raced instantly. This was enough for his mother's medicine. This was uniforms and books for his sisters. This was 3 months of rent. This was everything his family needed to survive. For the first time in his life, Arjun looked directly at temptation and it looked back at him. Then he saw the ID, a photograph of a middle-aged man in expensive clothes, a name, Mr. Sharma, an address in the wealthy neighborhood on the other side of the village. This person had money. This person would barely notice 2,000 rupees gone. The voice in Arjun's head whispered, "Take it. No one needs to know. Your family is starving. This is justice. Life isn't fair anyway." What Arjun did in the next moment would determine not just his family's future, but who he was as a person, and no one would ever know which choice he made. Arjun sat down on the dusty road, the wallet heavy in his hands like it weighed 1,000 kilos. His mind raced into directions at once. He calculated 2,000 rupees divided by 30 days equals food for a month. He calculated 2,000 minus 500 for medicine equals healing for his mother. He calculated, could I keep this secret? Yes. Would it hurt anyone I know? No. Is it wrong? Yes. The arguments came like waves. My mother is sick and I have no money for medicine. My siblings are hungry. I've earned suffering. This person is rich and won't even miss it. Life has been so unfair to us. This is my one chance. No one is watching. No one needs to know. But then another voice whispered back, "This doesn't belong to me. Someone is searching for it right now. I'm not a thief. I know what it's like to have nothing, and I won't do this to someone else. Mother taught me better. If I keep this, what have I become?" He thought of keeping it and not sleeping well. He thought of lying to his mother about where the money came from. He thought of becoming the kind of person who steals in desperation. And he felt sick. For the first time in his life, hunger and honesty were in a direct fight, and he didn't know which one would win. He stood at a crossroads. This was the kind of moment that shapes a person's entire life, and he had maybe 2 minutes to decide. Arjun closed his eyes. He thought of his mother's face. He thought of the kind of man he wanted to be, and he made his choice. He stood up. He brushed dust from his worn pants. He looked at the address in the wallet, and instead of heading to the market where work waited, where survival waited, he turned toward the wealthy neighborhood, with every step toward the owner's house instead of toward survival. Arjun felt something die inside him. His hope, his desperation, his hunger. These all seemed to fade, and something else grew stronger, his sense of self. He didn't take even 1 rupee. He didn't keep the wallet for a day, telling himself he might find the owner later. He walked straight toward the wealthy house with 2,000 rupees still intact, knowing his mother was at home with no medicine, knowing his sisters were hungry, knowing rent was due in 3 weeks. His stomach still ached, his feet still hurt, but something inside him felt whole. He had just made a choice that would probably cost him everything, and somehow that choice made him feel like he had everything. A poor boy, hungry and desperate, chose honesty over survival, chose character over comfort, chose who he wanted to be over what he needed to have. The wealthy neighborhood was a world Arjun had never entered. White streets lined with houses that seemed to touch the sky, gardens spilling with flowers, cars parked outside gates. His bare feet felt exposed on the clean roads, leaving dust marks that seemed to announce, "A poor boy has been here." His heart pounded as he walked. What if they think I stole it? What if they arrest me? But he kept walking. He had to do this. When Arjun reached the address, he stopped. The house was enormous, bigger than his entire village seemed to be. His bare feet looked even more out of place on the polished marble. He knocked on the gate. A servant appeared, looking down at him with the kind of dismissal that says without words, "You don't belong here." He asked to speak to Mr. Sharma. The servant was about to turn him away when Mr. Sharma himself appeared. Arjun's throat went dry. He held out the wallet. His hands shook. "I found this morning, on the path. It's yours." Mr. Sharma's face showed shock first, then suspicion. He looked at the barefoot boy in torn clothes standing at his gate, clearly trying to understand why. Then he opened the wallet. Every rupee was there, and something shifted in his expression. "Come inside," Mr. Sharma said quietly. "I want to know everything, Dotma." Sharma sat down slowly. "Do you know what was in this wallet?" he asked, opening it with careful hands. He pulled out the money, setting it aside. Then something else. A photograph, yellowed with age. A woman's face, kind and strong. And a letter, the paper worn from being read many times. My mother wrote this before she died, Mr. Sharma said quietly. 3 years ago, I lost her, and I lost this wallet yesterday. I thought it was gone forever. His voice cracked slightly. This isn't just money, boy. This is the last thing she ever wrote to me. My mother would have loved you, he said, looking at Arjun standing barefoot in his mansion. Most people, even wealthy people, would have kept that money. They would have rationalized it. But you gave up what you desperately needed because it wasn't yours. Do you understand how rare that is? Mr. Sharma asked questions then. What is your name? Why did you return it? What are your circumstances? Arjun told him everything. His mother's illness, his siblings' hunger, the rent coming due in 3 weeks, everything. And Mr. Sharma listened without interrupting. In that moment, something shifted. My mother wrote to me. Character is what matters, Mr. Sharma said. I didn't understand until right now. You understand already, and you have so little. This is the most valuable lesson anyone could teach me. I want to help your family, Mr. Sharma said. Not as charity, but as investment. Because anyone with your character is someone I want in my life. Within days, a doctor visited Aryan's home. Medicine arrived. His mother began to heal. Within weeks, his two sisters were enrolled in school with uniforms and books and supplies they'd only dreamed of. The rent was paid, not for 1 month but for 6. Eviction was no longer a shadow over their lives. Mr. Sharma offered Arjun an apprenticeship in his business, teaching him trading, accounting, the ways of honest commerce. But something else happened too. Mr. Sharma wrote letters to business associates. This young man is of exceptional character, the letter said. Within weeks, doors opened for Arjun that had been sealed shut by poverty. Not because of luck, not because of charity, but because one man recognized what honesty looks like and decided to invest in it. A year later, Aryan's mother was healthy. His siblings were thriving in school. His family had secure housing. Arjun had learned more about business and life than he could have in 10 years working the market. The wallet contained money. But what Aryan's honesty unlocked was far more valuable: opportunity, trust, relationships, and a future he couldn't have imagined. If he had kept that money, he would have solved his family's problems for a month. By returning it, he solved them for a lifetime. Arjun realized something profound. He'd thought honesty meant suffering, but honesty had brought him more than dishonesty ever could have. This isn't a story where honesty is rewarded by magic. It's a story where honesty is recognized by good people. And good people, when they see character, they invest in it. Arjun learned something that day that money could never have bought him. He learned who he was. You can be poor and hungry and desperate, but if you're honest in that desperation, you're not poor in character. And character is the only thing no circumstances can take from you. Honesty in prosperity is easy. Anyone can be honest when they have no reason to steal. But honesty in desperation? That's where character lives. That's where it becomes real. Arjun gave up the money. He suffered hunger that morning. He made the harder choice. And that choice didn't just change his circumstances. It changed who he was in his own eyes. He knew from that moment on that he could trust himself, that he could survive anything with his integrity intact. What Mr. Sharma saw that day wasn't just a boy returning a wallet. He saw someone whose word could be trusted, someone who could be depended on, someone whose character was proven. Those qualities are worth more than any amount of money. Character is what you do when no one is watching. Integrity is what you do when everything you have is on the line. Arjun was both. This is the lesson every parent wants their child to learn. This is the story every grandparent wants to pass down, because it proves that who you are still matters. Maybe you're watching this because you're facing your own version of Aryan's choice. Maybe you're desperate. Maybe you're tempted. I want to tell you what Aryan's story teaches. You don't have to compromise your character because your circumstances are hard. You can be honest even when it costs you. And that honesty doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. If you've ever kept something that wasn't yours, if you've ever lied to survive, if you've ever compromised your integrity because you were desperate, you're not alone. But this story is also an invitation to be different today than you were yesterday. Arjun's choice in that moment defined not just his day, but his decade. Your choice today will define more than you know. If you're facing a version of Arjun's choice right now, remember this story. Remember that honest people attract good people. Remember that integrity is worth more than quick solutions. Your struggle isn't punishment. It's also not permission to compromise who you are. Your struggle is a chance to prove to yourself that you're stronger than your circumstances. Every day is a chance to make the choice Arjun made. But we don't always recognize the moment. This might be yours. What would you do if you knew the whole universe was watching? The truth is, you're always watching. And the person you want to become is watching too. Arjun grew up. He became successful. But he never forgot the boy who found a wallet on a dusty path. That boy, poor and hungry and desperate, had more integrity than most wealthy people will ever have. His character was his greatest wealth long before money arrived. Picture Arjun now, successful and kind, helping a poor child find their way forward, just like Mr. Sharma helped him. This is what honesty creates, not just a better life, but a legacy of goodness that passes from person to person. If you have children, if you have someone who needs to hear this, tell them Arjun's story. Tell them that honesty is not a lesson that pays off. Tell them that honesty is what they are. They are the kind of people who can choose right even when it's hard. You are braver than you think. You are more capable of honesty than your circumstances suggest. You are the kind of person who can choose integrity even in desperation. That's who you are. The wallet contained money, but Arjun's honesty contained everything that matters. And that is the real treasure of this story. Be like Arjun. Choose honesty. Choose character. Choose who you want to become.